What's up, guys? Welcome to Why We're Friends English. Today we're going to do some more with intermediate phrasal verbs, and we've got a lot of culture to talk about as we do these.
Yeah, so today we're going to talk about phrasal verbs that are specifically designed around caring. So
Yes.
a lot of us are parents or we are caregivers. So a lot of times we have these words that we can try to use to describe how we're caring for somebody or maybe how we're being cared for. And as you're going to see in this video, a lot of these are balancing how formal you will speak.
So we're going to kick it off with for you to be under the care of someone or for you to put someone under your care.
Yeah, so under the care, a lot of these are, you're going to see very spatial language. And so like our kids are under our care.
Yes.
We care for them, we take care of them, and the idea with this idiom is that it can be formal or not so formal.
Yeah, it can have like this idea of authority, so someone is under your authority, like in the case of parents. But it can also mean that there's responsibilities that have been attributed to you, given to you, or that you have taken on yourself. But yes, this is the idea of under. You are over them in some form, and not necessarily in class, but you are over them in terms of you are the one who takes responsibility for them.
Another one is to care for. So it sounds very similar, but it's a little different. So to under the care of or to take care of, these are a little different in the nuance of the meaning of these two phrasals.
Yeah, definitely. So to take care of someone means you are the one that does the action of taking care. So those who are under our care in terms of our kids are the ones that we take care of very actively. To take care for something, I've heard many ESL language learners say this, but we don't use that construction. Well, we do say to take care, but we say that as a way of like, as you leave, like before you go, I just want to say, hey, I love you guys. See you next time. Take care.
Take care is a lot more common than under the care of. That's a little bit more formal.
Yeah.
Normally speaking, we use take care or take care of.
Like you would see it on doctors. Like doctors might ask you like who's in charge or who takes care of them. Then you would say they're under my care. The next one we're going to talk about is look after. And we use this one a lot in the American South.
So it has the idea of you're kind of looking at the whole board. It's almost like you're a chess player and you're looking from the top down, so you can kind of have a little bit more information than maybe a person in the game, or in this, or in the case of like a family. We look after our kids because honestly, they don't necessarily see the dangers around them. And so we have to make sure that they don't put a coin in a light socket or something like that.
We take care of their environment, we take care of their food and their education and all those things. That is looking after someone. But we also say it in terms of like look after your neighbor. Here in the South, we'll say that, or we'll sometimes name, like we'll say, hey, how's Joe doing? And I was like, well, I've been looking after him. Means I've been making sure. That doesn't mean you're in the house like cooking for Joe and cleaning up after Joe and stuff like that, but it just means like you look after them, you make sure they have enough money, or you make sure you're there when they need a ride or they need something.
You're kind of on call, so to speak.
Yeah, kind of like on call. The next one also uses look. It's to look out for, and this one has two meanings in particular.
One idea is to look out for, meaning like your children. Again, a lot of these are related to parenting or maybe taking care of your grandparents, and so to look out for my children means I'm trying to figure out what's going to be best for them. And so I try to help them and help the situation so that they can be able to succeed better by me hopefully planning things a little bit better.
Yeah, it's got this idea of there's an expectation that something's going to go wrong. So you're looking out for someone means you're expecting something bad to happen, whether that's illness or situational, or maybe they are drawn to things that are very negative and you're just trying to look out for those opportunities to do the wrong thing. You just kind of make sure they either don't happen or you are there when that comes around.
Yeah, it's almost like you're blocking out the bad things so that they can go straight without any sort of interference.
Which this is connected to the other meaning of look out for, which is to look out for that ball or look out for that car. Like something's coming at you and you say, look out.
Or watch out is another common one.
Yeah, watch out is actually the next one. So you want to watch out for someone is kind of the same idea as watch out, something's coming. It's kind of the same idea. Watch out is the same as look out and look out for.
Right. Another watch is to watch over. So again, this has the idea of that you are kind of up top and you're looking down and you're kind of watching over a person and helping them. Not in a controlling way necessarily, but
protective.
Right, a protective way.
So you're watching over your kids at the playground, for example. You're just there to protect them. I mean, if you're not playing with them actively anyway. But we say that our police, they also watch over us. We say that for all kinds of authoritative positions that are meant to protect. Some people will say that they have a guardian angel that watches over them, right? It's the same idea.
Or like another image is of a sentry. That's a really hard word probably, but a guard or a soldier, and he is watching over the city at night. And so the idea is that while everyone else is sleeping, he's watching over the city, making sure that there's no invaders that come and try to attack the city at night.
In an ancient sense, probably.
And in an older sense.
I'm sure some places like that still exist, but generally speaking.
Now we have cameras, so.
Yeah, exactly. So another one that we have that's very communal is to come alongside someone. Now this has a different sense. This doesn't mean that you're providing necessarily for physical things, but you're providing for emotional and mental things.
Right.
So you come alongside someone in their depression, or you come alongside someone in a difficult time in their grief, for example. And what that means is you're there.
Yeah.
Either to talk to, or just to listen to them, or to just help with the peripheral things that don't matter when you're grieving for the loved one that has passed. So all of a sudden cooking food just doesn't seem important anymore. So someone who comes alongside you in that time will see that and they'll cook for you anyway, or they'll take care of some things for you, or they'll just sit and listen. So it's a very communal thing, very deep to say come alongside. It's
a lot more physical than the others. So to care for means that maybe you're there, or maybe you're helping, or to watch over, you're probably there or helping. But to come alongside with is very, very spatial in the fact that I am with you, I'm walking through this with you. And so to do this, to come alongside, means I am in pace with you and we're going to go through it together.
Yeah, and it's not something you can just buy your way out of. You can't just give money and that be called coming alongside. You need to actually be there.
It's much more intimate.
Along those lines is to go along with. But this one, again, has two meanings. It can be more passive, where it's like you just go with the flow. Whatever's happening, you just kind of go along with it. But then there's another sense of you go along with someone through life, where it's kind of like come alongside, but not as intimate. It does, I guess, kind of capture that feeling of you're just going to do whatever they do.
Yeah.
But it also has this idea of like you really love the people or like the people that you're around to go along with them.
So come alongside means that there's normally like kind of a heavy weight and you're walking through something with that person, but go along with is more like you're saying passive, where it's mainly just they're kind of there. You love them, but you're not going to be connected to them, attached to them through the thick and thin, and just being there with them 100%.
You might just split when it gets hard, but to come alongside means you come to them in their suffering. To go with, again, has kind of that idea as go along with. So to go with is something we use very commonly and physically with to go with you to the store, to go with you to school, to go with you to something. But it also has the same idea as to go along with. But it can also, recently we've noticed that it can take on a much more heavy feeling, kind of like come alongside. But I will go with you could be almost a marriage vow now. Like it's just like I will go with you through the thick and the thin. I will follow you is the idea. So wherever you go, I'm going to follow.
Right.
I will go with you wherever you go.
And that's just something really cool about language, is that sometimes we create these really special, hard, unique words, but other times we use a word that's very common, go, and we give it new meaning and deeper meaning.
Even if it has the same construction, we just use it and apply it to other situations, and there you go. To go with can be something very simple or something very complex.
Which is exactly why we have these videos to explain this, because it's really hard for a second language learner to be able to try to acquire that meaning from a dictionary. Very difficult.
Difficult, yeah. So to help along. Help along is kind of like little bit like God mode, I guess.
Yeah.
A little bit if you're distant and you're helping from a distance, you're helping something along. If my grown kids, I might help them along in life by making sure they have what they need. I might provide some food that they might want, or I might give them some money whenever they're in a tight spot. Basically what that means is I'm helping them along in the early 20s or whatever it is that it's just kind of a difficult time in life. But also has this idea of like, I'm going to help this problem along, or I'm going to help this idea along, or I'm going to help something along. We don't use it though for our kids. I mean, unless like our little kids that are under our direct care day in and day out and they need us, we don't really say, yeah, I help along my kids, because that means I'm not spending time directly with them, which is a little weird to say.
Yeah, help along is more of the idea of coaching, more standoff helping. Yeah. So with kids, you are very intimately involved with their life and their growth and their development. So to help along with would just be kind of very awkward phrase to use, because you are there every day.
The idea is they do it themselves, but you help where you can. I love this one. We like to love on our kids. We like to love on our friends. We like to love on this. To love on means you just there and you enjoy them and you share joy with one another and you're happy together. Like, you love on people by buying them things, giving them free things.
Doing silly stuff. This is one of those words that get new meaning. Love, we all know what love means, but to love on somebody means something a little different, where now it can just mean just enjoy them, have fun with them, be silly, be nice, be friendly, all those words wrapped up into that one single word, and it's pretty amazing.
I will say, though, it has lost the idea of deep intimacy. It's intimacy and joy and sharing that joy with them, but I wouldn't say that I love on my husband. But to have marital love, I wouldn't say I love on my husband. I wouldn't say that at all. I would say I love my husband. To take charge of. So this means that you are actively just taking control. You are making yourself the boss and you're doing the thing. Maybe if I finish writing a lesson or something and I walk out and the kids are just wild, and Josh, for some reason, he's just like, I'm going to go hang the laundry in the backyard or something. Out. And I'm like, I'm out. I'm like, okay, I have to take charge of the situation.
This is very different from the idea of coaching or even parenting, in the fact that take charge of it is very authoritarian almost, where it's bad, everything is bad, and that something needs to change. So you get a leader, and you get that leader, and he starts doing things. That's take charge of it. Take charge of the situation, take charge of whatever.
I guess it doesn't necessarily have to start from a bad point.
This happens a lot with companies, where a person will say, hey, the company's CEO is retiring, somebody has to take charge.
Okay, the next one is going to be to attend to. This one means that whoever is attending to you or something, they are paying attention to details. So bridesmaids attend to the bride, for example. But we also have like a mother or a father can attend to their child's education or attend to their child's nutrition. Ideally, whatever is being attended to is going to be specifically named. If it is not specifically named, you can understand that it means that it's very specific to details. Someone is taking care of the details. Along those lines is to see to something. To see to. To see to something or someone is to just check on them, really, and make sure that whatever the end is gets done. To see to the chores means you are going to make sure they get done. Whether you delegate that or you do it yourself, doesn't matter. Thing is if it fails, it comes down on you because it was your job to see to it. Doesn't matter how you do it, just see to it.
Right. So like take charge is very personal, saying I am going to come into the situation and I'm going to grab it, I'm going to take charge of it.
I'm going to make some changes.
But see to something is to say, hey, I may not be the one doing it, but it's my responsibility that it gets done.
I'm going to make sure it gets to the end. So to see to a person has this idea of there's something you need to do for that person. To keep up with. So we all have friends that we want to keep up with. They're not in our immediate space, maybe not even in our city or our country. Right? But we try to keep up with them as best we can. Social media is a great way to keep up with people. It has a second meaning. The more physical meaning that it originally had was to stay in step with. To keep up with means maybe Josh is moving faster than me in the store and I'm going to like hurry up and keep up with him. So the next one is going to start off a little bit of a difficult section. So to keep an eye on someone. To keep an eye on someone is basically you check in on them often. So you can keep an eye on your neighbor.
Right.
You can keep an eye on your grandparents. You can keep an eye on your kids even, but the idea is you're not directly interfering with them at all.
Right.
You're just making sure that they're okay, that there's no fires in their backyard, things like that. Generally speaking, keep an eye out for your neighbor means you're just making sure they're safe. At the library, I might ask another parent if I have to go use a bathroom and my kids are perfectly content playing with the trains. I will say, hey, do you mind keeping an eye on my kid while I go use the bathroom real quick? I don't mean sit down and play with my kid. I don't mean change their diaper.
Right.
I just mean, hey, can you make sure that they don't choke on something while I go use the bathroom for like 2 seconds?
So the next set is to keep an eye out for or to keep an ear out for.
So the difference here is that to keep an eye out for something is that you do expect something wrong to happen, something bad to happen. So it's kind of like watch out a little bit, to watch out for someone. It's kind of that same idea. So to keep an eye out for something means it could be any time in the future. So basically it's keeping up with the times essentially. But to keep an eye out for means you're either watching over somebody, like to watch out for.
To keep an eye out for kind of has the assumption that something is coming. Whether it's a release date for a movie or an album, or it could be something a little darker or a little bit scary, where it could be something dangerous.
It's a very friendly way to give a warning. So listen for is this very similar idea. To listen for something means you are specifically waiting to hear a piece of news. So I will listen for an update, or I will listen for the release date, or I will listen for what she has to say.
Yeah.
It's kind of that same idea.
There's a thing out there and you're trying to know when it's going to get here. You're waiting, you're anticipating that thing. And so you're listening for that.
So to deal with has more of a feeling that you're kind of annoyed with the situation. So if I say, I've got to go deal with my kids, means they're like freaking out in the back seat or something of the car, and I've got to go discipline them and just calm that down.
It's also very common. So especially nowadays, that is probably one of the most common phrasal verbs in today's list. People say this all the time. I'm going to deal with this means that I'm going to handle that situation, whatever's happening.
So the last phrasal verb we're going to look out for today is follow up with. Follow up with is something you might have heard a doctor say, where they will say, hey, we're going to do a follow-up appointment, so where we can follow up with you and see how you are recovering. So this is used in a physical sense a lot, but you can also follow up with someone on what's happening. So if they gave you bad news or even good news, you can follow up with them next week in another conversation. You can call to follow up with them on how things have been developing since you last talked.
So there you go, guys. So those are our 23 intermediate phrasal verbs for you guys for caring. And like we said throughout the video, some of these are more common than others, some of these are more formal than others, but all of them are really good for you to be able to incorporate into your vocabulary so that you can be able to better express caring for other people, whether it be your children or your grandparents or your employees or something like that.
Definitely. And practice with these guys. It's one thing to watch these videos, it's another thing to actually go out and practice them. So definitely want to do that. All right. Well, we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Bye.